I was 3 blocks from home, standing in line for my usual cup of black coffee, when my phone buzzed. Nothing unusual until I saw the alert. Smart lock breach detected. Security protocol activated. I blinked, confused for half a second, then the next message popped up and hit me like ice water down my spine. Federal response initiated. I opened the security feed and there she was, Cynthia Meadows, president of the East Pines HOA, standing in my side yard like she owned the place, wielding a pair of oversized bolt cutters like some kind of suburban warlord. And at her feet was the severed shell of my $3,000 military-grade smart lock, lying there like a beheaded sentinel. I watched her muttering something to herself about unauthorized structures and community integrity, totally unaware that 6 black SUVs were already barreling down our street. 5 seconds. That's all it took, from the time she cut that lock to the moment federal agents surrounded my property like it was a cartel hideout. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. My name's Noah Tran, and 3 months before that chaos, I'd moved to East Pines thinking I'd found the perfect place to start over: clean streets, quiet neighbors, close to my sister's family, and most importantly, a detached side unit I could finally convert into a secure home lab. See, I used to work in cybersecurity, government contracts mostly. Retirement for someone like me doesn't mean golf courses and beach chairs. It means more time to work on the stuff that actually matters. Stuff that helps keep the systems we all rely on a little safer. Some of that work requires very specialized tools, and yeah, very specific protection. That's why I installed the Aegis 9 lock system, a pilot model with biometric scan, encrypted backup, remote access denial, and, crucially, a direct federal response channel if tampered with. Not just a lock, a shield. Fully legal, city approved, and absolutely necessary for the hardware I was keeping inside. I didn't tell the HOA. And yes, before you judge me, I learned my lesson a long time ago. You don't invite a dog to inspect your steak dinner and expect them not to bite it. I had the permits. That should have been enough. But then there was Cynthia. She came sniffing around 2 days after installation, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched on her head like a golden crown of self-importance. I was out front trimming the hedges when she strutted up, heels clicking on the pavement like she was on a catwalk. "Noah," she said, drawing out my name like it was a lecture, "I noticed some modifications to the exterior of your property. Did you submit the correct forms for that device on your side structure?" I stayed calm. "It's city approved, Cynthia. It's a security upgrade. Within code." Her lips pursed tighter than a Tupperware lid. "City code doesn't override HOA aesthetics, Mr. Tran. You'll need to file Form 71G for architectural conformity, and we'll schedule a review by the compliance board." I smiled. "I'll look into it." That was mistake number 1. See, Cynthia isn't used to being dismissed. She's the kind of person who believes every head should be symmetrical, every mailbox regulation sacred. Power isn't a responsibility to her. It's a costume she wears to feel taller. The next week, the complaints started. My window tint? Too dark. My trash cans? Visible from the street for more than 20 minutes post-collection. A satellite dish I hadn't even installed? Aesthetic violation. I'm not kidding. She even cited me for unapproved lawn ornamentation because my niece left a ceramic frog in the yard. I laughed it off at first. But then she started showing up at odd hours, pacing with a ruler, photographing my property line, recording license plates of my visitors like she was compiling evidence for a Netflix docuseries. One night, as I was accepting a late delivery of server racks, pretty standard for my line of work, she appeared out of the shadows like a budget horror villain. "Noah," she said, feigning concern, "the neighborhood is worried. There's activity at your property. What are you really doing in that side unit?" I stared at her for a beat. "Cybersecurity work. Legal. Quiet. Harmless to you and everyone else." "Well," she said, squinting past me like she could see through walls, "the community has a right to feel safe. I'll need to inspect the unit." I shut the door. Mistake number 2. After that, things went quiet, eerily so. No complaints. No passive-aggressive notes. No ruler in the yard theatrics. Just silence for 2 straight weeks. And if you knew Cynthia, you'd know that wasn't peace. That was planning. Then came the coffee shop. Then came the alert. Then came the feds. The Aegis 9C wasn't just smart, it was part of a test program. Breaching it was treated as an immediate threat to infrastructure. When Cynthia clipped through it like she was trimming hedges, that alert triggered an automatic escalation. I saw the whole thing live on my phone as I stood frozen in line. Her sneaking around, glancing over her shoulder like she was in a heist movie. Her squaring up with those bolt cutters. And finally, snap. And then, like choreographed justice, SUVs came roaring around the corner. Agents in tactical gear surrounded my house within seconds, weapons drawn, shouting commands that shook the windows. Federal agents. Drop the tool. Cynthia dropped those bolt cutters so fast she nearly tripped on her own heels. Mouth agape, eyes wide, she stammered. This is a misunderstanding. I'm the HOA president. I have jurisdiction. One of the agents stepped forward, calm and deadpan. Ma'am, you just breached a federally protected security system. You were under investigation. They cuffed her on the spot. I arrived home 20 minutes later to find my quiet cul-de-sac transformed into something out of a Jason Bourne movie. Cynthia sat in the back of a black SUV, pale as paper, mascara streaking, muttering something to herself like a glitching NPC. Agent Thompson greeted me at the door, ran through the protocols, assured me nothing was compromised. They'd need statements, of course. But otherwise, everything had gone by the book. I glanced at Cynthia in the SUV and asked, "What's going to happen to her?" Agent Thompson shrugged. "Depends. If no data was accessed, she might dodge federal charges. But the state? That's another story." And oh, it was. Cynthia was slapped with charges: destruction of property, trespassing, unlawful entry, tampering with infrastructure. Her lawyer, probably funded by whatever emergency budget she'd carved out of HOA dues, negotiated it down to probation, community service, and restitution for the lock. But the kicker? The restraining order. She was banned from coming within 100 feet of my property or communicating with me in any form. For a woman whose entire identity revolved around surveilling the neighborhood, that wasn't just a consequence, it was exile. She couldn't take her usual morning walks. Couldn't glare at my mailbox. Couldn't even show up at HOA meetings if I was present. And yes, I attended every single one after that. The HOA appointed a new president, Susan, retired math teacher, sharp as a tack, but with none of the drama. Complaints dropped. People waved again. It felt like breathing after months of holding it in. As for me, I upgraded the lock. Again, the new one, custom firmware, facial recognition, and a message I may or may not have recorded myself. Unauthorized approach detected. Federal authorities have been notified. Please vacate the premises immediately. Was it petty? Maybe. Did it feel good? You bet. A few weeks later, Cynthia moved out. Word was she sold the house to cover legal fees. I watched from my upstairs window as she loaded the last of her monogrammed patio furniture into a trailer, her husband silent, head low. No goodbyes. Just a quiet end to a loud legacy. And I guess that's the thing. Some people crave control so badly they forget that not all doors can be forced open. Some are locked for a reason, and they don't just protect property, they protect people who've spent their lives protecting everyone else. Cynthia thought she could bend the rules, enforce her version of community order, and twist authority into power. She found out the hard way that you don't get to decide which rules matter when the system you're breaking reports to people way above your pay grade. They say karma takes time. In this case, it took exactly 5 seconds. So what do you think? Was Cynthia just doing her job as HOA president? Or did she cross every line in the book? Would you have shown her the same mercy I did? Or let the feds handle it their way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious how y'all feel about the balance between community oversight and plain old power trips. And hey, if you ever meet a Karen with bolt cutters in hand, maybe remind her that not all doors are hers to open. Thanks for listening. Stay safe and stay locked.